What's up guys, it's Brian Kovic with Brian Kovic Fitness, and I'm here today to discuss a topic, sometimes a controversial topic. I don't really know why, but it's about steroids, and the purpose of this video is not really an informative video. It is to a point, and it's not a video to try to convince anyone to take or not to take steroids, but it's kind of what I think should happen with the fitness industry regarding steroids. It's not a probability that's gonna happen, but it's what I think should happen. But I need to lay out some information about some steroids that I've been researching just to prelude my thoughts. I also want to say, I am not a doctor, and I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable person on this subject, okay? Like, I'm not the most knowledgeable person. So some of these things, I mean, most of these things are correct, I would say. Like, all of these things are correct that I have here. I have a little cheat sheet. But there's a lot that I don't know, and a lot that I don't care to know, because I'm not about that life. I never will be on that life, and it's just boring to me. I don't know, I started researching, and it just started getting real boring real fast. So, you may have heard some of these names: ANAVAR, Winstrol, D-ball, growth hormone, estrogen blockers, testosterone. I mean, all anabolic steroids are a derivative of testosterone. You may have heard some of those names. So those are just some of the types of steroids and things/drugs people use on their cycle. And a cycle is a certain period of time. People that do use steroids, usually competitive bodybuilders, not all, but some. I don't want to point any fingers in this video at all or do a blame game or anything like that, but a cycle is usually an 8 to 16, even 20 week long cycle that they take steroids and then they go off it. There's an on and off period, off season, on season, and usually it's during a period of the time that lead up to a show, or sometimes before a show, and people can cheat drug tests and stuff like that. I started to research it. I researched this topic a long time ago, a couple of years ago when I was a teenager, because I was interested. I didn't want to be naive of the subject, but since then I forgot some of the stuff, and then going back to the research, I learned some new things. I refreshed my memory, and one thing I know is that cemented in my head now is that I never want to take them. I want to remain natural for life. I like the challenge. I like the honesty of it, the no burdens that I'm carrying, and I like the challenge of just being natural and, you know, just, I don't know. Every natural athlete has my respect. Not saying that people that take steroids don't have my respect, but there's a purpose in everything, and I'm gonna follow that up. But anyways, just some basics about steroids here. There's really no deaths caused by steroid use. Most of the deaths and health issues that you see in the news or whatnot, they come from steroids combined with recreational drug use. And you know, a lot of those guys, or not a lot of those guys, but many people in the fitness industry, they like to party, abuse other drugs, not just steroid abuse, and that combined with being in a vulnerable state of being on a cycle leads to an increase of a risk in something happening to you, you know, like a heart attack or any other type of health problems. And people that go bald and other health issues like that, they're already predispositioned for that to happen to them. So whether they do steroids or not, that's going to happen to them no matter what. Steroid just brings it out a little bit faster, those hormones. There are, however, some signs that you can tell if someone is using steroids, but none of these signs are 100%. None of them. They just, if you combine a couple signs with the other, you can be pretty sure in some cases. But like I said, there's no way to tell if someone's using steroids unless they actually tell you themselves and admit it. And there is a difference between steroid abuse and steroid use, which I'll get to in a little bit. So a big one of how to spot a steroid user is if they have what's known as a GH gut, and that's basically a distended belly. You may see it on a lot of the competitors on Mr. Olympia, on that stage. And basically, I mean, it's a big gut. I'll show a picture here, which leads to the next sign is gynecomastia. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. Some people call it gyno, whatever. It's basically an accumulation of fat around your nipples, and it almost starts to look like a female body part, right? And this is caused to glands in your chest, I believe. I don't know what the name is, but I know you can get it surgically removed to avoid that. So it's not a telltale, it's not like a telltale sign, like I said, because you can get it removed, you can get around it. Stop! Jeez. Sorry about the rooster over here in my backyard. We have chickens, so. And here's a picture of what that might look like. Basically, like hanging nipples pointed straight down, all that type of stuff is you can be kind of leaning towards being sure, but at the same time, I just want to make it known, it's not, you can't ever be sure. Another one is skin problems. So anything from stretch marks and acne, especially on the back, like all over the back. This is one of the least telltale signs, but because that could be a number of issues from other hormonal problems. Sorry guys, I had to switch locations because the rooster that we have is so annoying. Yes, that is my treehouse. Pretty cool. Me and my dad built it years back. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, skin problems. So this is one of the least ways. I mean, it's associated to some steroid use, but it's like the least. Like, a lot of people have acne on their back, a lot of people have stretch marks. I have some acne on my shoulders because squatting, and I pop my pimples, which is a bad habit. But my friend, one of my best friends, he has stretch marks all over his back and his arms because he's on that BC fitness program. But he gained a lot of muscle. But I mean, that's just natural. But like I said, if it's combined with a bunch of these other signs, you can kind of tell and lean one way or the other if they are or aren't using it. The next one is disproportionate upper body parts compared to your lower body. So when you do take steroids, I remember reading years back that the main thing affected, the main muscle group, is your lats and your traps. So if you take a look at all these Olympia competitors, because I can be sure that those people that are on the Olympia stage, they all take steroids, and I don't care if I meet them and they see this video or whatever, because I mean, what are they going to do, deny it or be mad at me or whatnot? I still have respect for them. But anyways, their lats are all like this, so wide, and like mine are like this. It's like, it's way more of a natural V shape. It's more like of a W shape, you know? It's so wide. And they look like a Dorito chip. You can just dip it in some guac and, I don't know. Whoa, there's a deer. Anyways, I know this is compared to the lower body. The lower body still does gain muscle, but there's a lot more androgen receptors in the upper body muscles, and resistance training has more of an effect on your upper body than your lower body when you're on steroids. So that's another sign. Also, another sign is that if you are working on someone, let's say at the gym, and you're there for 3 years, they're there for 3 years, and they look, you know, generally the same. They're making their gains, of course, and you know, but it's slow progress. But all of a sudden, in 1 month, this guy gains like 20 pounds of muscle. He starts looking jacked, more shredded, all of that type of stuff. You can definitely look at it and be like, huh, something's going on there. But like I said, you know, fast muscle growth can occur to somebody that's new in the gym. You know, I've seen a natural lifter, I guess, gain like 30 pounds to 40 pounds in their first year. Not saying that's all muscle. Even if you're on steroids, if you gain 40 pounds, 30 pounds, some of that's going to be fat. The universal laws do not change just because you're on steroids. And you still have to diet, you still have to count your macros and calories, you still have to do your cardio if you want to be in pristine shape or achieve a certain look. Just, it makes gaining muscle easier. You still have to keep your diet in check and all that. So if you want to take steroids and you're looking to not do all that, I mean, you can still look like crap and take steroids. I've seen it before. But the one thing you want to look for mainly is the lats and the development of the lats. You can kind of, like I said, lean towards one side or the other. And then the last one that I have is when you're on a cut, see if that person is losing strength or losing muscle. It's hard to tell. It's very hard to tell if someone's losing muscle on a cut, because when you get cut, you look leaner. I mean, you're smaller as a person. It's just because you can see all your angles of the muscles, all your cuts and all your insertions and all of that way easier with less fat. It makes you look bigger. It's kind of like an illusion. And especially if you're looking on Instagram or something like that, people only post the best photos of them. Like Matt Ogus, for example. I'm not gonna make any type of judgment call on him. I'm going to pause it here real quick. The only reason I bring up Matt Ogus is because he is one of the most accused people of being a fake natural. A lot of people think he's on steroids. A lot of people think he is natural. The thing that I do know about him, however, is that he has been training for over 10 years, and he has been consistent with a great diet, macros on point, and a great training plan. I do believe that his physique is totally achievable as a natural athlete, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because he's been training for so long and he has great genetics anyways. But if you look at his Instagram, all his photos of his physique, they're great photos because he chooses the best ones of himself. I mean, no one's gonna post a crappy photo of themselves because pride and because, I don't know, logic, I don't know. But also, people usually post photos right after their workout session. So this means they're gonna have a pump, which makes you look bigger and leaner, right? So it's kind of, you can't really tell, you know, unless you're there in person with them for a long period of time. If you're there, you know, Matt Ogus's training partner, and let's say he goes on a 20-week long cut, goes like 4% body fat, and he gains like 30 pounds of strength. All right, that's a telltale sign. But I'm pretty sure the dude is going to either maintain or lose a little bit of strength, unless they're on something. But I have no clue if I should have. I'm sorry, Matt, if you ever watch this. I don't mean to call you out anyway, but it's just an example. I met him. He's really cool. But oh, here's another one, and it kind of coexists with the last point I just mentioned. Staying shredded and very, very lean year-round. This is most likely, if you are like this, you're going to be enhanced in some way. But like I said, if you're just looking at Instagram, there's no way to tell, because I mean, I have photos from a year back when I was cut and lean, a lot leaner, that I could just post and say it was today. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that because I'm not a liar. And if I did that, I would say, oh, this is a throwback picture, or, you know, this is a picture of, you know, August 23rd, which was my birthday, of 2016. Hint, hint, it's coming up. Send me gifts. I'm just kidding. Don't send me gifts. Just say happy birthday on my social media. Anyways, where was I? So those are all the ways that I've read and thought of to tell if someone is or isn't. But like I said before, there's no way to tell 100%. You got to give people the benefit of the doubt, because there is such thing as great genetics. There is such a thing. A lot of people say genetics is not an excuse, or, you know, genetics is not that big of a factor, but it is a huge factor. I mean, just the way you look, the way the muscles are inserted, you know, how, if your abs are lopsided or not, how slim your waist is, how, like, your genetic potential of growth, how big your shoulders can get, or whatever. That's a real thing. That's biology, that's science, okay? And another thing is, you know, some people, good genetics combined with years, 5 years, 10 years, even 15 years of training that's supplemented with a great workout plan, with discipline, with kind of their macros, being on point with their diet, plus good sleep, plus just the consistency. Plus, it's 2017, we're still learning what the human body is capable of achieving. And that's a lot as someone that's natural. Like I said, give them the benefit of the doubt, because a lot of times, if you've been training for that long, you may look like someone who's on year 1 and have taken steroids, you know what I mean? But it's taken 10 years for that person to look like that. But at the same time, I know I said give the benefit of the doubt, but from the research I did, it is extremely easy to obtain these substances to help you, you know, like crazy. The third website in I got, there was like a buy option or whatever, and like I wouldn't trust those even if I were looking to take steroids. I wouldn't even trust those, you know, because they're legal, they're probably made in another country. I mean, you can't trust anything. And like even though I know it kind of sounds like an oxymoron, give people the benefit of the doubt, there are so many liars out there that claim natty and they're not. There's so many. But I guess basically, look what type of person they are and if you could trust them. Because I do believe that people should look for the best in others. So that's all I ask. Look for the best in others. Don't put people down. Give people the benefit of the doubt either way. You know. Oh, and I'd like to say, I am natural for life. If I didn't say that already, I'm not on steroids. But many people are. And so here's what I was going to talk about. What I think should happen in the fitness industry, but is not likely to. I think people should just start being honest. You know, there's a lot of people that are obviously on something, but they say they're natural, right? And that just gives a lot of kids out there this fake hope that they could attain that same physique without taking anything, when it's clearly impossible. For example, if you look at the music industry, all these popular artists, at least in like hip-hop and rap and all this, they're rapping about doing drugs all the time. They're, you know, partying it up, and they're still getting these endorsements from big companies because those companies want to make money. What I think people in the fitness industry, while it's not as big of an industry as the music and entertainment industry, it's going that way. But I think people are so afraid to admit that they're taking something, not only because it's illegal, but because they're afraid to lose their endorsement deals or deals with other companies. And I think if people were just more honest, there would be more research done on steroid use and what happens to the human body. There is research already, but there would just be more done, which would lead to a more educated use of steroids, because there is a difference between steroid use and abuse from what I read. You know, just like an alcoholic versus a social drinker, one of them is damaging their body and one of them knows when to stop and knows how to control themselves and just have fun. You know what I mean? There are side effects of steroids as well. These side effects normally come out when you're leaning towards the steroid abuse part rather than just use. And it's anything from liver toxification, which happens mostly from oral steroids, which is from what I read has the worst side effects. The injectables go right into your bloodstream, versus the oral steroids, they have to be processed by your liver. It's like a filter, and it makes some things aren't able to be broken down in those things, and you can never really trust those unless you're getting it from a pharmacy or something. Like I said, steroids are illegal, but you can get prescribed them from a doctor or buy them out of country. Another side effect of all of it is reduced sperm count in males and infertility, which would suck because I want kids. Another thing is stunts growth, especially if you're like a teenager using it. It closes growth plates, basically. So if you're 16 and you're like 5'6", and your genetics say you can grow until 6'5", you probably won't grow until 6'5" if you start taking steroids. And then for women, basically they start to develop male characteristics and deeper voice, body hair, mustaches. I don't know about that, but I mean, yeah, all steroids, at least with abuse, when you abuse steroids, it lowers HDL, which is good cholesterol, and it heightens LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. So this makes the heart work harder, and that just leads to an increase of a chance to have heart disease and heart problems later in life. I want to answer some questions now from the last video that I asked. I know one of them asked if people get angrier. I know that roid rage, there are studies done with roid rage. It's funny, roid rage. From what they concluded, they can't prove that it exists, because the studies they do, they take someone in good mental health, someone that uses but not abuses steroids, and does that study on them. So if you realistically use steroids properly, you can definitely lower and negate a lot, if not all, of the side effects. So I mean, if someone has is not totally mentally stable and abuses steroids, I could definitely see an increase in aggression, and I have read some reports of that increase in aggression, but everything I've read so far says that roid rage does not exist. Another question was if I think the benefits of steroid use outweigh the negatives. No, I don't think so. In my opinion, there's no benefits except making things easier. Let's say I did do steroids. The number one negative that I would see would be me just lying to everybody that asks, and it would be just such a burden on my heart that I wouldn't be able to, you know, be as passionate as I am in helping people. And I feel like it would just lead me, it would be a decision that leads me to a path of other bad decisions. So that's like the number one negative that I would see, not to mention all of these health side effects, but that can't be negated, like I said. But I mean, I don't really see any positives in steroids. I mean, unless I wanted to be Mr. Olympia, if I wanted to look like Phil Heath and Kai Green, I don't like that look anyways, that big freakish muscle look. I mean, it's respectable. I mean, it's like, if I see a picture of Phil Heath during peak week, I'm like, dang, that dude worked hard, he looks good, and that's it. But it's not something that it's not how I would want to look like. And yeah, fitness is starting to go away from health, right? And I'm trying to get it back there. But yeah, no, Michael, I don't think positives outweigh the negatives. But that's, like I said, that's to each his own. Most people that take steroids, they're competitive bodybuilders. They want to be pro. They want that look, and they want that competitive advantage. But that same person is taking steroids in like a natural show, he's just a cheater, and I have no respect for him. Or like if you're in NFL or NBA or MLB, any sport that drug tests, and you want to take steroids to gain a competitive advantage and cheat, no respect there. But all other instances, I don't really judge the person. And then lastly, I think a question was, what do women use? I'm pretty sure they use the same thing as men. They just use more estrogen blockers. If you go on steroid.com, that's like where a lot of this information came from. I mean, you can look for yourself and read. A lot of this same information that I have here is from that site, from another site called Teen Nation, some other sites that I procured. I mean, all steroids are, like I said, derivatives of testosterone. And in order to gain muscle, you need testosterone and less estrogen. So women are just more likely to take more estrogen blockers, and maybe some different steroids than men, but They're all the same, really. I mean, men can take the same steroids as women. Women can take the same steroids as men. Unless I'm wrong, you can correct me, but pretty positive that's the case. Man, look at, I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera, because like just this is so beautiful. I'm like looking at the background while I'm talking, just because nature is so amazing, God is so great. But yeah, guys, I hope this video provided some value to you. Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect from making this video. I just wanted to lay a couple points. I know it may have been some information here, there, and nothing really with a consistent theme, per se. In summary, hard work deserves respect either way, whether that person's on steroids or not. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Look for the best in people, and everyone in the fitness industry was just more honest, a little bit more honest. It would be more of a community, I would say, because it's starting to not feel like that much of a community. It's just starting to feel like one big giant ad. And I know, you know, eventually I'm gonna start promoting things and stuff like that, but I'll make a promise right here and right now that it'll never be about the money for me, right? If I promote something, it's because I like it. It either provides value in my life, it helps me, or I like that person that's involved with it and I believe in that person and that company, or it's something that I'm starting and something with more meaning. Obviously I'm gonna try to make a living, but it's not about how much I can make, it's how much I can give, really. That's kind of my whole goal, really. Like, of course I'm going off a tangent here, but of course I want to make money, like anybody. I would love to be rich, right? But I feel like my only reason with that is, like, I would love to have, if I had this much money, this is how I think. If I had this much money, like, I could do so much to help these people, or create something else, another brand, another company to help other people. You know, I have so many ideas that takes money to execute, you know what I mean? Hard work, of course, but money's the root of all evil, but it can be the root of many good things. I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyways, I don't know what that point was. Basically, I promise not to be a sellout, ever. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, God bless.